Hi everyone, it's Julie. Well, I'm working up my nerve again to do another tutorial video, so bear with me. Today I'm going to show you how I make grass scenes. And so to start my image, you can see that I've already laid down the foundation for the grass. And to do that, I used Colleen's tutorial, and I'll leave a link so that if you haven't seen her tutorial, you can take a look at that, because it's a great tutorial and it's been a huge help to me. So once I did the greens with Copics, and the colors that I used are, let's see if you can see those, it's YG11, G82, and YG63. Those are the colors that I used to lay down for the initial grass. And then I'm going to go in with some of my W's, W1, W3, and W5, and I'm going to go ahead and just color in the rocks. I'm not going to take a lot of time to do this because I know you don't want to sit here and just watch me color. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow with the W3 at the base of the rock. And then I'm going to add W5 just to give it that little bit more dimension. And I don't add a lot, but mostly just right at the base. Okay, so for the technique that I'm using, I'm going to be using distress markers. I'm using every shade of green that I have got. I think it's all the ones that they make at this point. And I used to do this with the distress inks with a paintbrush and would blend it in, but once I got my markers, I really loved how the fine point on the marker gave such great detail. So I'm just going to go ahead and start in with Bundled Sage, and I just use a flicking motion just to add in little tufts of grass. I'm very random. I don't have any rhyme or reason for why I put anything where I do. I just kind of try to go and fill it in. And then I'll also put random blades of grass throughout the scene just to give that grass dimension. So now I'm going to move on to Shabby Shutters and just go back where some of the tufts are and add a little bit more color to those, and then I'll go in and create some new tufts of grass as well. And moving on to Crushed Olive. And the same thing, just adding a little bit more color, a little more dimension. And you'll see I just really do a flick motion with the pens. And this also will work when you use paint brushes if you choose to use distress inks with a brush. It also works with Copics, but you don't get the fine detail that you get with the distress markers. It also will work with colored pencils if you prefer colored pencils. So the other thing I'm going to start doing as I'm getting into some of the darker colors is I'm going to actually be going right over their feet. Now I would do this usually last after I've colored my entire image, but I didn't want you to have to sit through my coloring today. So anyway, and I also will cover the rocks, because in a regular field of grass you'll find that, you know, the grass sticks up and covers shoes. So that's frayed burlap that I'm using right now. And now I'm getting into the darker of the colors that I have, starting with Forest Moss. And this is where I'm going to be going back in and adding just a little bit of this dark color to add that depth and dimension and give the effect of shadow. And finally I'm using pine needles, and again it's just going to go back and just give it that little bit of a different color that you get that sense of when you look at a field of grass. So I didn't do completely what I would do when I do a field of grass today. I would keep going over it and over it and over it to really fill it in, but I just wanted to give you an idea of my process. And then the last thing that I am going to do is I'm going to take a bit of tea dye and I'm going to go back in and just add a sense of a little bit of dirt within this field. Maybe a little bit at the base of the tufts of grass. So you can see I'll even take the brush marker and brush that out a bit more. Maybe add some dots that'll reflect some rocks in the grass or some just blank areas. And last but not least, I like to go ahead and take a gel pen and just add in some little flowers. So the flowers I'm doing now are white. I might take pink and like a pink distress marker and add in a little bit of pink in those flowers. Just gives the field a little bit of a pretty feel. And last but not least, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take one of my darker shades and I'm going to go back in under the tufts of grass and just add in a little fullness in there. Give it that little bit more of a feel of a full dimension. So that's my tutorial today. I hope that you were able to see that, and I'll show you the finished product, and that will be posted also. I'm going to finish out a card with that, and so you can kind of get a feel for what that grass looks like when it's all done. So thanks for stopping by today. I hope that I have helped you or given you some ideas, and we'll see you later. Thanks.